with everything we do at Goodwill, it's not just about the services that we can provide, but about the community partners that we can work with to provide a better opportunity for our participants. So today we have some folks from Spark and the Justice Resource Center. And I'm excited to bring Spark to everybody because I'm sure some people have heard of Spark, but I think there's a lot of members in the community that would love Spark's mission and would love to really hear the amazing work that they're doing in the community. So we have Jackie from Spark, and then of course we have Brent from the Justice Resource Center, who also does amazing work in the community. And again, we're just excited to talk about services and opportunities for individuals who are justice involved or who have experienced institutionalized care in our community. So I'd like to welcome Jackie and Brent to our show today.
So welcome, Jackie and Brent. And Spark, what is Spark? SPARC. Tell us about Spark, Jackie.
Thank you. SPARC stands for Supporting People's Access to Reliable Care. And our mission is to keep people out of institutional care. We've learned that often individuals that spend time in jails, mental health hospitals, and foster care don't have the outcomes that we would want in our community for them. It's costly to our community for those services. So our purpose and goal is to provide resources and individual support in order to keep people in their home communities so that they can become a healthy community member.
And how long has Spark been around? And tell us how it got started.
We just passed our third year as a nonprofit, so we're very excited about the work that's been happening. And that work began really by looking at what happens in our foster care systems and in our jails, and seeing that our social workers are working so hard on behalf of families, and they need services for the families they're working with that will better support them so that families can keep their children in their homes. So we're here to support the work of social workers. We're here to support those families, to give adults opportunities that they maybe don't have already, employment opportunities, access to affordable housing, things like that that some of us take for granted that allow us to be a positive community member.
Wonderful. So what are Spark's core programs?
So there are various services all focused on this mission. There are services such as prison prevention, family visitation, domestic violence offender services, family-centered treatment, and food markets. So I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically. We're assisting former inmates with employment, education, and housing opportunities to better their chance at success of coming back to the community. We're re-educating domestic abusers, teaching them new methods of interacting with intimate partners and family members. We supervise and facilitate DSS court-ordered family visits, where coaches offer parenting skills to families while their children are in foster care. We ensure access to nutritious free food for low-income residents that are living in isolated communities. And we offer family-centered treatment, which is an intensive in-home therapeutic service designed to address family dysfunction with the purpose to keep children in their homes.
Well, that sounds like a noble endeavor, if you ask me. So keeping families together is the focus of Spark. How are you working to do that? And how can someone concerned with such an issue get involved with you?
So couple of pieces on that. The family-centered work of this, we've learned over doing the years of doing this work that it is important to recognize that we all have a family system behind us. So our services do not look at just one individual client as the person we're working with. We want to look at their background, their family, their friends who are there to support them. If any one of us wants to make a don't do that in an isolated way. We usually have somebody we rely on who can support us. Sometimes clients come to us having maybe burned those bridges or just not having those. And so build healthy connections is really important to their success. Something that's helpful for the community, I think in this Asheville community, people are really aware of our affordable housing challenges, healthcare challenges, including mental health. So the lack of those is really difficult for parents and individuals out there to adequately support themselves and their families. And so we want to focus on in the work that we do.
Well,
That's
that still seems like a very big job.
Yeah.
What gave you because I'm assuming that you helped found Spark.
Mhm.
What gave you the idea and the desire to do this? 'Cause it's a
Yeah.
monumental job that you're doing.
It's been impactful work in my entire adult life.
Mhm.
And when I was young in my career, I ended up working in a group home with at-risk teenagers, and they were kids that the community kind of wanted to shove to the side. But I found that to be really fun work, to be with those kids and to support them in a different way, and to watch them succeed when they had some understanding and non-judgment. So my young life started that way, and then in the course of time, I ended up being a foster parent, and then through that experience, ended up adopting some children, and still believe, even though I'm adopted, more kids deserve to be in their family homes than what's happening right now. And families have so much going on. We need, as a community, to support our marginalized communities in a more intensive way so that their children can be in their homes.
So my guess is that, or I'm probably well aware that you run and you have a lot of kids come in to your system.
Mhm.
They've never had any kind of real emotional or any kind of support before.
Mhm.
So I'm sure that they sense that the support that they're getting is something that they need.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that they're, for the most part, quite grateful to be getting it.
Yeah, I think our community is beginning to learn about childhood trauma
Mm-hmm.
in a new way that is spreading. That some of the experience, whether that's one-time intense trauma, a violent event, or whether that's built up over time, living in poverty, living in a marginalized community, intergenerational substance abuse and mental health. Those are true challenges that deeply affect children. And so what are we doing as a society to build up those kids so that when they become adults, they're able to maybe change the patterns that have been in their family for generations and do it differently?
Well, I have a theory.
Mm.
Looking at my own family, moving, they immigrated here in the 1700s, and for 300 years they lived in an agrarian life down on the other side of Hendersonville.
Mhm.
And then when the mills came and they left the farms, they they dispersed out,
Mhm.
and that close family connection that they had had
Mm.
since the beginning, people being together, was lost. And I think that organizations like yours are attempting to bring that sense of family
Mhm.
back.
Mhm. Absolutely. Bonds between parents and children, as you probably know, are so critically important for the
Yes.
health of a child.
Right.
Sometimes we have parents show up to our services who, because of their lack of a bond with their own parents, literally don't know how to develop that with their own child.
Right.
So before we even teach how to deal with a child's tantrum, we're working with that parent on how do you bond with your child? How do you develop a connection with your child? Because that's going to be at the core of things, and then we can build from there.
Right. So how can the public support Spark's work of building more self-sufficient individuals, healthier families, and safe neighborhoods and communities?
Well, we always accept donations, which are tax deductible, in order to support this work. And anyone can go on our website, thesparkfoundation.org.
SPARC.
Returning from prison, our first job ultimately is to get them a job so they have an income coming in. But it could be a couple weeks before they get that first paycheck. And so things like gift cards to Walmart or grocery stores can be really helpful to just help us in that gap time for those individuals.
Mhm.
Those would be great ways to support.
And as a nonprofit, Spark has a board of directors, and are you open to accepting new members to your board?
Well, in fact, we're expanding our board, so we are individuals. We are looking for folks that have expertise in human resources or in the legal system or in fundraising. So I invite anyone out there who hears our message of what we're doing and is interested in participating in that to reach out to me directly, and I'd love to talk more.
Yeah, especially that fundraising part. Are always hustling for money when you're in the nonprofit world. So we're going to move to Brent Bailey. Brent, as a member of Spark's board of directors, tell us about your involvement in that organization.
Yeah, I guess about a couple of years ago, some of the current members, they were looking to expand the board then too, and I guess that my name came up and they said, hey, Brent is doing some of the work that Spark does, and so it relates, and we think we can bring him in and his energy will be good. And so when they asked me, I was kind of honored, and then I accepted, and I'm glad I did. So that's how I kind of got to be on the board at Spark. And then the work I do, which is helping individuals returning to the community from prison as well, it ties into Spark, and especially dealing with the family care. It's a lot of people don't want to deal with it, but when those children are not served and they're not helped and assisted, typically that's what feeds the prison system. And so it just made the connection for me.
So it's mainly helping to integrate individuals who've been incarcerated back into the community, and that's the expertise that you are bringing to Spark's board.
That's one aspect, yeah. And it's just the work. It's my job too, yeah. So when individuals are returning, you know, they've identified 4 major areas. If people get assistance in, then their chances of recidiving are reduced greatly.
Right.
One of those is housing, transportation, employment, and education. So when people come in and they identify that they have goals in those areas, we just seek to assist them and support them there. And we're seeing phenomenal results when you do that and they stay engaged, that people don't return to prison.
Well, that's very encouraging to hear about. What are the main people you serve, and how can the community get involved to make their transition easier?
Definitely affordable housing and living wage employment are the major challenges. Somebody's returning from incarceration, kind of a stigma in the community about who that person is and what they are and all these different things, because you know, with the news, if it bleeds, it leads. And so they typically report the worst stories ever. And so a lot of people you see on the news who go into prison, they might not be coming back, right? They're going to be gone forever. But 95% of the people who go to prison, they don't make the news, and they all coming home. And so it behooves us to kind of serve them and assist them once they do return, because they're members of the community as well. So living wage employment is always a challenge. And here, specifically here in Buncombe County, affordable housing, it's a challenge for everybody, but definitely for those returning from incarceration.
Yeah, that's kind of the ongoing discussion you hear everywhere around town is affordable housing and living wages.
Absolutely.
And so I had decided to move here in the mid-'80s, and I was told back then, take your job with you. And I was able, at that time, I was able to do that. So this is not a new problem. This has been going on for a very, very long time. How can the community learn more about Spark? And do you have any events coming up?
Well, we do. We have our first coming up next Thursday that we are so excited about, October 3rd. Yes.
It's crowd noise.
We will have a band, strangers, who are a lot of fun. We have friends over at Catawba Brewing and Urban Orchard and Oak and Grist who are offering up the liquids. We've got Mellow Mushroom and other folks putting some food on the table for us. And we really just want to get together, celebrate the community work that's happening, and enjoy some time together while we raise some money. We'll have some raffle prizes, and the location is unbeatable down at Smoky Park Supper Club at their boathouse. So we'll be right on the water. It's going to be a really fun evening, and we'd love for anybody who's interested to come on out. We have a Facebook page, the Spark Foundation, and information to the event is right on there, or go to our website, and you can find.
Well, that sounds like a fabulous event, and it sounds like the community is really coming together to help support your foundation. And we'll be sharing your event information on WPVM's
Great.
Facebook page, and we'll also be sharing the video that we're doing here. And so, Tara, what additional programs and announcements do you have for Goodwill?
So, this is really a cool show because it allows us to bear and support. And I think what's cool about this event coming up next week is that there's so many ways to get involved with our nonprofit and with our communities, that some might be donations or some might be other ways, but just knowledge, just awareness. I think I've mentioned this before at Goodwill. We have that famous saying that I had no idea. And I hope some listeners today are saying that about Spark too, or Justice Resource Center. I had no idea that was happening in our community. And listening to this show or attending this event next week or just looking at our websites, our Facebook pages, just helps us to be a stronger community because we're more educated about what's happening in our area. And I think that's amazing about Asheville is that we're interested and we want a stronger community. And so far this year at Goodwill, we've helped finding employment. That's in part of the partnerships we have here with Spark and Justice Resource Center and countless others in our community. But also for those who donate and shop at Goodwill, we can help those people find employment and connect to these other resources because our community donates their clothes and shops at our center, at our retail store. So we want to just thank everybody for their support of Goodwill, but also their support now and in the future of these amazing organizations as well.
Well, I want to thank Jackie and Brent for coming in and telling us about Spark, and I definitely want to thank Goodwill for all of the programs that you do in the community, and we are honored to be able to help get the word out to tell the community about what you're doing and what you all are up to.
Yeah.
And it's really a incredibly compassionate organization. So we'll go back to the music now. Thank you all for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks for
And,
having us.
Come back again.